Here is the DP Biology IA feedback for the draft IA for DP525 student E. Firstly, we've got in the research question between 3 and 4 metres. 3 and 4 metres what? It's this from the top, from the bottom, from the chart data. Make that a little bit clearer. Now, you're using the Simpson's Diversity Index. Are you also referring to the number of species, number of individuals? If you're using these in the processing and the conclusion, keep them here. If you're not, tidy it up to just refer to what you are using and doing. I would add a couple more words at the end of the dependent variable, just to say using Simpson's Diversity Index. By the way, up here it says Simpson's Index. Make sure we get the proper name, Simpson's Diversity Index. Now, looking at the background information here, a lot more is needed about the location, about the tides, the tidal range, what the rock pools represent, their reservoirs or mini reserves. Why is the Simpson's Diversity Index used? What is it? All this stuff needs to be in the background information, and it needs to be cited properly with in-text citations. The variable table, firstly, every table needs a descriptive, useful title. In the second point, what is meter high restrictions? What is this thing here that's being referred to? I don't know. This needs to be cleared up a bit. My next comment is we don't split tables over pages. A whole table must be on one page, so fix this. This is really vague. Make sure how, multiple written up. Add details here, please, so it's specific to your experiment and not just general wishy-washy. Okay, you picked at random. Okay, that is, at the moment, just waffle. How did you? Google's built-in random number generator. Better, but more still. How did you do this? Did you have a command? What command did you use? How many rock pools were there that you randomized from? A lot more details on how the randomization was done, please. Looking at table 1, this looks good, but really, so it was this deep and this wide and this long, number 3, and it had a volume of 0. This makes no sense to me. Good to see consistent decimal places, good to see uncertainties, that's all looking good. Now, going back up to the variables table, I'm getting out of order here. The first 2 points appear to be the same thing. Is this something different? Is it not? It needs to be named more appropriately and perhaps condensed or more clearly distinguished. Now back to table 1. Next, you don't need all these grey lines. You can turn off the grey lines in Google Sheets or Microsoft Excel before you make a copy of it to place into this report. Also, where are all your lines? This is a table. Make sure the appropriate lines are here, the non-appropriate ones are not, so it looks like a table. Why does it have to take up 2 lines and have 2 titles? Is this your title or is this your title? You don't need both. If it's this one, you can condense it over, you can merge it across the way, make the font slightly larger. Looking down here, this is a separate table with no lines, no description. Really, it needs to be made into a separate table, given its own title and the appropriate lines in again, so it looks like a proper table. Now, if you're only using area of pool, as we come down here, then modify methods, research questions to state, to remove depth. Maybe you need to be using depth because it comes up again further down, but it's not graphed. Now, you talk about Simpson's Diversity Index. You present numbers for them, but actually, you don't present numbers for them. Simpson's Diversity Index, it's in your research question. I don't see it here. We've got a graph. So we're processing data. We come down. Now Simpson's Diversity Index. Okay, good. Move the rock pool to be the first column to be consistent with your first graph. Where's a graph of this? This is one of the key ideas from your research question, and yet it's not presented. Okay, Spearman's rank is appropriate because we've got nonlinear trend lines. That's good. What does this mean? You need one sentence out here just to say this value means. I think your interpretation's not quite right, gap there. We'll come to that in a minute. Again, why is the title here and the test on the next page? Fix it, one sentence here. What does this actually mean? So when someone looks at these numbers, they actually understand what they are. Now the conclusion. Firstly, when you don't indent the start of your paragraphs, and I don't, you need to have a blank line between each one to separate it out, so it's not just one block of words. Now, I'm not sure where this value comes from. The research I did about half an hour ago stated that a Spearman's value, rank coefficient value of 0.4 to 0.6 is regarded as a moderate positive relationship. 0.7 to 1, a strong positive relationship. One of your values fell in the moderate positive relationship range, so I suggest you need to do more research and probably rewrite that piece. One strand of the conclusion is for having cited sources to justify or explain what you found or what you didn't find. This is not here. You don't want to get 0 for that strand. You need a whole section where you've done research to back up what you found, what you haven't found. Maybe why you haven't found it. Now, looking at your evaluation, and this probably goes everywhere, you talk about beach. Beach is a sand. You were looking at rock pools on a rocky shore. So I suggest all the way through, change your language from beach to rocky shore to be more appropriate. Yes, it was the rocky shore at the edge of a beach, but it wasn't the beach that you were focusing on. The second row, you state you don't get error bars, but you're doing a correlation. If you have 10 more sites, 20 more, the way you've processed your data, you still won't have error bars. I agree you only have 10 samples, more is better, but it's not about creating error bars. That's a different type of analysis for a different type of experiment. I'm just going to say ouch here and leave it at that. Now, this makes little sense. Floating out. Did you see things floating, or was things stuck to the bottom? If you did, add more detail. If you didn't, I'm not sure this should be here. Now, I would also add, do you believe standardizing and assuming every rock pool is the same shape, both in 2 dimensions and 3 dimensions, was accurate? So your area and volume estimates were accurate? I think that's something else you need to add in as another point at the bottom of this table. I think that's quite significant for this investigation. Now, finally, in our school, we use MLA. So this should be called works cited. You should have an awful lot more than one citation. Really, this is not painting your research, your preparation in a good way. You need to have a number of them. This is formatted well, alphabetical order. Also add in the access date. And that's probably one of the biggest issues I see here. You need many more sources and each of those used, cited in your report to back up what you did.